Tell me which camp you fall into. You're a solopreneur, you're bursting at the seams, and you're ready to hire that VA, but you know it always takes longer to have somebody else do something, right? Then you're just like, I'll just do it myself, right? Or you're somebody who has tried to bring on staff, independent contractors, virtual assistants, and grow that team, and you ended up just having to babysit them and follow up and micromanage, and that's just not who you are. So you said, forget it. Well, guess what? I have a solution for you. I've asked our COO, Allyson Mancini, to teach you how to build a team so you don't have to babysit them. And let me tell you, we have a self-led company now. I can go on vacation for as long as I want, and things just keep running. It's magic. Let's dive in so you can learn from Allyson.
Hello, and welcome. I am so excited to be joining you all here today. And today I'm going to get to talk with you about how to build a team that doesn't need you to babysit them. That's really important. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Allyson Mancini, and I'm the COO here at Goal Digger Girl. Been with the company for over 5 years now. Actually started as a student here at Goal Digger and just evolved into my role at I've had I have a varied background of different careers, jobs, and honestly, this is amazing to be here at Goal Digger. And I love being able to get in here and come on here and talk with y'all, and share with you some of my knowledge and some of the things that I do and I know are super helpful for our CEOs and our solopreneurs and all of our clients. So I'm excited that you're joining me here today. And today, like I said, we're going to talk about how to build a team that doesn't need you to babysit them. So this is really important. And I want to really impress upon you as a CEO, as a solopreneur, as the business owner, business builder, you do not need to spend, let me rephrase that. I don't want you to spend your time double checking that your team is doing what you need them to do, especially now because a lot of us work in remote situations. Those of you that know us here at Goal Digger, you know that none of us live in the same state with each other. We are all over the United States and in Canada. And so there's no babysitting. We don't go to an office. We use Slack for all of our communication. And so everyone that is on the team really has to be independently working, independent thinker, really self-sufficient. And we all have grown into that role. So I want to share with you today some tips, some things that we learned that worked, that didn't work, that are really going to help you so that you have a team that you can count on, that you can trust, that is self-sufficient, that you're not having to babysit, because that's not what a CEO should be doing, right? As a CEO, you're doing all the vision casting. You're the one developing all the maybe strategy. You're the one showing up on social media or showing up in if you're speaking or you're on a podcast or whatever it is that you're doing. That's what we want you to focus on. So today I'm going to share how to shift from managing to leading as a CEO and what you need to have in place so that your team can just fly, that they can do it on their own, that they can be self-sufficient, and really how we built that here at Goal Digger. And it's going to include the good, the bad, and the messy in between, because we have to learn from mistakes, right? And I want you guys to learn. I want to be able to share with you some of the things that we went through so that you don't repeat the things that we've done. So the first thing as a CEO, solopreneur, or maybe you're like me, maybe you're the operations manager, maybe you're the COO, maybe you're the CFO, you're in some kind of operations or officer management, a C-suite level in your company. This is also for you as well, because you're going to be handling the team as well. So first thing we have to do is shift the mindset from being a manager to being a leader. And if you're watching me on YouTube, you see that I just did air quotes for manager. If you're listening to us on podcasts, I want you to be a leader. I don't want you to have to be the manager. I want you to get out of that mode. I want you to stop micromanaging, and I want you to lead. We have an amazing leader. Kimberly Olson, as our CEO, is an amazing leader. She always is an example of hard work, of independent work, of being resourceful, of figuring it out. And so we've really learned from that. So you as the CEO want to be the same way. You're going to be the example, just like we are with our kids. As a parent of children, we want to be that example, right? And that's what you're going to do in your role here in your company. So the difference between a manager and a leader: a manager, you're in the weeds. You're checking off tasks. And if you missed it, actually, it's in one of our courses. I did a whole course on delegating and getting out of that that whole mode. You should definitely check it out. But I really want to get you out of the weeds of doing all the tasks. So a leader is really where you're guiding the mission, you're setting the direction, and you're helping clear any obstacles that might be there. So that's really important too as a leader. Again, whether you're the CEO or your C-suite level, you want to help clear any obstacles that might be happening for your team so that they can grow, they can be successful, and they can fly in their role. So if you're being quote unquote the babysitter, it's very difficult for your business to scale. If everything's dependent on you as the CEO and the owner, you are the bottleneck. You don't want to be that person. So I want you to think about right now, as you're sitting here listening to this or you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to think about what are 3 ways that you know that you're currently acting like a manager and not a leader. Okay, so for example, and this may be necessary in the beginning, but you need to get out of this. You're having to approve every single graphic. That's being a manager. So when our creative director, Abby, first started with Gold Digger back years ago, back when I first started, initially, Kimberly probably checked a lot of her graphics to make sure it was how she wanted it. The brand was on point, all the things. I don't believe Kimberly checks graphics for her anymore. Like, she has turned that over. Abby's got such a beautiful eye for those things, but that's where you want to get. Another way that you could be acting like a manager is if you're constantly redoing VA tasks. Like, do you give a VA a task and then you go back and you're fixing it? That's managing, not leading. If you're writing every single email yourself, now, in the beginning as a CEO and as a solopreneur business owner, yeah, you're probably writing all the emails yourself. That's totally normal. But as you grow your team and you start having a VA, once you give them that guidance and you can see initially, yeah, you're going to look at some of the emails, but pretty soon you want to just give them that ability to create. One of the big things I talk about in my delegating course is that you want to give them the outcome. So not only are you giving your team the task they need to do, but they need to know what the outcome should be of that task. So for example, with email copy, the email copy may be going out to all of your leads about a boot camp you have coming up. Well, the outcome of that email is you want to get more people registered. So if your VA or your creative director or your copywriter knows that, they know, listen, I need this many emails written. I need them to go out this often to promote this boot camp. And the outcome is I want this many people to get registered. They now have an outcome. They have something to work towards to achieve. I also really want to emphasize that it's really important to have that trust and accountability. So you can't hold a team member accountable if you don't trust them to figure things out and you haven't given them a roadmap. So I'm going to use an example of Kimberly and I. When I first started in my role years ago, I don't remember what exactly happened, but there was a situation. I had made a mistake and I went to her and I was apologetic, of course. But that was it. I apologized, but I didn't really have any solution, right? And Kimberly, being the amazing leader that she is, said to me, hey, listen, I totally get it. People make mistakes. I know you're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes. But what I would love in the future is when something happens like this, you know you've made a mistake. I would like you to come to me also with a solution for how can we either fix it or so it won't happen again. So now you can ask her, and she probably doesn't even, it's so natural, I think, for both of us now. Anytime something should go wrong or something should happen, I always come with solutions in mind. She may not like all of them. She may not do all of them, but I have solutions. So as a leader, as a CEO, and as the solopreneur of your company, you want to teach your team to come with solutions. Come with me. Bring me ideas of how we can make this better, change this, how we can fix it, whatever that is. So now we're going to get really into the nitty gritty. And I want to talk about this is really, really important. And we've mistakenly done this the wrong way. So that's why I'm here today to share with you guys. So some things that you must have in place before you hire somebody. So let's say that you're going to hire your first VA, because I know a lot of you that are in our community and listening, you're a solopreneur. Maybe you have one VA or you're just getting ready to hire a VA. I want you to really think about, first of all, what are the tasks that you need to have taken over? And by that, what are the tasks that you particularly do not need to be doing anymore? It can be somebody else. It doesn't have to be you. Now, what I want you to do is once you say you have 5 things that you know, I do not need to be the one doing these, someone else can do these. Now, before you hire somebody and turn them over to someone, you need to have very specific SOPs. What is an SOP? Standard operating procedure. They are simple, repeatable guides for how you do things, okay? And they matter because you want people to do things the correct way, and you want to give them guidance, and they want to be successful. And they're only going to be successful if they know what you want, right? So what I would encourage you to do is once you've picked out 5 tasks, I would encourage you to, as you're doing that task, either record yourself doing it on a video if it's something that you're doing like on a computer, on a platform, or start putting it into a Word doc and describe exactly what you're doing. So once you do that, that becomes your first SOP. There's your first one. It's right there. What I would include in that SOP is, let's say that you have someone and they're going to do email copyright for you. So you're going to explain to them how this works, what you expect to be in the email, give them some guidelines, and then you always want to end your SOP with some kind of an outcome. So by doing this task, this is what we are expecting. Which brings me to my next point, is having very clear outcomes. For example, you're not going to just say to them, I want you to post 3 reels a week, right? Because they'd be like, okay, what do I post about? So 3 reels a week, and this week we're promoting this. And so I need the 3 reels to be reel A needs to be this, reel B needs to be this, reel C needs to be this. Most likely you're recording the reels yourself and you're passing them to post, but they're going to need some idea of what's the caption going to be. Do you want any tags in there? Now, initially, you're going to probably have to give them a lot of support and guidance along the way, but eventually you want to be able to turn those reels over to a VA. They can quickly watch the reel, pull together a caption, find some hashtags, some tags for it, and they're off and running. But what's the outcome? So they need to know the outcome. So if you are promoting a boot camp you have coming up and you've asked them to post these 3 reels and you've asked them to make sure that they have captions, they have tags, all the things, what do you want the outcome to be? Well, if you know you need 200 people registered for this boot camp, that's the outcome. So that they know, okay, so I need to make sure in these reels that there's a call to action, right? Because I need to be able to reach these people and get them the information so they can register for the boot camp. So those are the kinds of things you need to think through when you're giving these tasks. It's not just about the first do this, second do that, third do this. You also need to add in there the outcomes, the expectations of them doing that task. And then finally, the other thing is to have in place, and these are all things you should have in place before you hire somebody. So you want to have SOP created, clear outcomes, and then finally you want to have a defined role and boundaries. Boundaries are so important. Even for you as a CEO, you should have boundaries around your work. I know a lot of you don't. I get it. We didn't either. Boundaries are super important. For example, I own project management here at Gold Digger. Most of the people on the team don't jump into it because they know that that I'm doing project management. Now, do we all get put on the project? So we use Asana for project management. I get it all started. I get everything laid out. I get things assigned. I get it all tasked out. Now, do other people come in there and say, hey, we need to have this. Hey, I forgot can you add that? Yes, of course. But Tori's not going to go ahead and just create a whole project for our upcoming boot camp because she knows that's what I do, right? So you want to make sure that you're very clear in the roles that you give them. So think about this. And we went through this. I remember this was probably, I want to say almost 3 years ago. We went through a process where it was becoming really apparent that we had more than one person doing some of the same things. And honestly, that's a time waster. It's a time waster for them and it's a time waster for the company, and it can affect your ROI, right? If you've got 2 people going at the same task, you're wasting their time and you're wasting the resources of the company. And I remember we had that happen. Like I knew it was like I could tell, like, because I remember one person would tell me they were doing this and then another person would say, oh, I just finished doing that. And I'm like, wait a second, why are they both doing that? So it's very important that you're really clear on who's doing what in your company. And that all comes with your SOPs. We started out with a very simple, we used a Trello board, and it was called Goal Digger Headquarters. And on the Trello board, it had a column for every team member. And under that column, it had a card. If you use Trello, each of the cards listed a task that they did. And then within that card, we could put documents, videos, all the things. So if something happened, someone went on vacation, someone got sick, we could easily have someone else pick up and do that for a period of time if we needed to. And it's easier for us to transfer things to other people when we reevaluate, maybe something's not working anymore, or we feel like this person would be a better fit for it, we can easily do that. So I really want to encourage you to have defined roles and boundaries. Okay. All right. So next, I want to talk about setting expectations, communicating clearly, and leading by example. So I love this saying, clear is kind and fuzzy is frustrating. So you need to be very clear, and that is in your expectations and that is in your tasks. And I'm going to use the best example I can think of for how clear I want you to be. So we work with a couple of VAs from out of country. They're amazing. We love them. They both do a great job. But I learned because of the time difference, right? They're across the ocean, and the time difference was proving to be challenging. So I realized when I asked for a task to be done, if I asked for it to be done, say on Friday, that was really their Saturday. And they're thinking it just was all confusing. It didn't make sense. We were getting that all wires crossed. So now when I assign a task to one of our VAs, I simply say, I need this completed by this day. I'm very clear. Friday, 5:00 US Central Time. That way they know exactly when I need it by. There's no question, right? So being clear helps the people that work for you be successful. I used to think that I feel like I'm like treating them like they like they're children or something, but it's truly not. Like, think about it when it comes to you. Don't you want to know exactly what's expected? Like, if you're given a task and someone doesn't tell you when they want it done, don't you want to know that? Like, otherwise we all have a ton of stuff to do. It would just sit there. So be very, very clear. I would also really encourage you when you're bringing in new people and when you have a team, you should be having weekly team meetings. Yes, weekly. Take 1 hour out of your week. Meet with the people on your team, especially when you're in the world like we are of remote working. We on Team Goal Digger all live in a different state, and one of us is in Canada. So we're all over the place. Every Monday, we have a team meeting and we always meet. We go over all the things that are going on. So that is super important for communication. Using a project management tool like Asana, or you can use Trello, or you can use, I think it's ClickUp is the other one. Using some kind of communication tool like Slack. Asana can work as well. You could actually communicate on Asana, but Slack is we love Slack. We use it all the time. Or Microsoft Teams is another one. Use something so that you can communicate easily with your team. And don't leave anything to chance. Always document everything you're doing. Okay. Make sure I'm looking at my notes. For those of you that can't see me on video, I want to make sure I grab everything. So I think it's really important as a CEO and solopreneurs, you really want to lead by example. You want to model what you expect. If you want team members to own their mistakes, like I said in the beginning, show them how you own yours. I will tell you, Kimberly is phenomenal for that. She will be the one to say, listen, guys, I messed up, or I forgot this, or how did I, she's very transparent with us, which gives us the comfort and the ability to be the same way with her. So I really want to encourage you with your teams, be transparent, be honest, let them know if you've made a mistake. But I highly encourage you as a leader. Yes, I made a mistake, but this is the solution. Yes, I made a mistake. This is the plan moving forward. I really want you to give your team, once you feel comfortable with them and you have that trust and that accountability built in, give them the chance to shine in their role. Kimberly is really good at that. She really is very talented at seeing people's gifts and letting us just really build on those. And you may not have that skill as well, but it's a skill you can definitely learn. And it's really by, Kimberly's always been really good with us as a team, is by giving us options of how we can grow in our role. We talk about it a lot. We talk about it at least a couple times a year, things that we can do to improve and be better in our role here at Goal Digger. And she gives us, we're always sharing podcasts with each other and YouTube videos with each other and things about growth and personal growth and mindset and leadership and all these things. So I highly encourage you, as a CEO, it's so important for you to grow personally yourself, but it's also important for you to show your team that this is what I'm doing. Like, I do these things as a leader. I do these things to be better, because I can tell you right now, it makes us want to be better. And we want to do those things as well. So I've gone over a bunch of different things with you today, and I've actually told you some things that we made mistakes in and we didn't do right. Not having SOPs set up ahead of time, not having a really good flow for a team member to follow was a big mistake of ours. So I really want to encourage you, before you bring on anybody to your team. And if you already have a VA and you don't have clear SOPs created, and when I say created, I mean documented on a document or in a Google Drive folder with a video, something I want to be your first step. You have to be very clear for everybody and have it in writing. I actually worked at a company right prior to my role here at Goal Digger, and this was before we did so much on our computers. And they actually had a binder that was like this thick of the job that I did, that literally, like, I could have sat down, opened up that binder, and learned my job from that binder. That's how you want it to be. Okay. All right. So just to wrap everything up, and I'm of course going to give you guys a call to action, because you got to put this into action, is the 3 big ideas from this is, I want you to remember, you're going to shift to strategic leadership. So really be an example of a leader and showing them you want to mirror what you want them to do, right? Let me rephrase that. You want to be an example of what you want them to do. So if you want them to be okay, or you want them to be okay with coming to you that they made a mistake, you need to share that you've made a mistake. If you want them to come to you with solutions, you need to ask that. You need to share that with them. Just be very clear. If you want them doing personal growth and getting better in their roles, show them you're doing personal growth. Share them ideas with you. Share podcasts with them and things that you found. Encourage them to find somebody to follow that for example, for me and my role as a COO, there's a woman out there, and that's all she does. She trains COOs. I follow her all the time. I'm on her podcast. I get her emails because I'm constantly learning from her. So you want your people to feel that they can do the same thing. Build your foundation. Make sure that you have SOPs in place, that they understand their outcomes, that their roles are very clearly defined, what their expectations are. And then finally, communication. I cannot tell you guys enough. Communication is so, so important. Like we always say here at Goal Digger, over communicate. And if you don't understand and you're not sure, make sure your team knows it's okay to ask questions. Ask Kimberly. If you meet her in person and you think about it, ask her how many times I say to her, okay, can I clarify this? You're expecting A, B, C, D. And then she'll come back to me and go, yep, that's exactly it. Or, well, yes, and this, right? So asking for clarification, making sure your team feels comfortable asking for clarification. Kimberly never gets upset with me when I ask for clarification. Never, not once has she ever been like, oh, why can't she just read my mind, right? That's not, listen, as a leader, people cannot read your mind. No one can read your mind that I know of. So you have to be very clear, and you have to give them space to ask for clarity if they need it, right? What I want you to do, my call to action to you today is, if you're ready to step out of the weeds and just really take on that leadership and get out of that management and just really allow your team to shine, I want you to start by reviewing where you're stuck here. So what don't you have in place? Do you have SOPs in place? Do you have outcomes in place? Do they understand? Do you have expectations? And does your team understand? Like, have the conversation. If Kimberly were to come to me and say, Allyson, do you understand my expectations of you? Like what I expect in your role? I can answer that. I couldn't answer it a couple years ago, but I can now. So making sure that they understand. So I really want you to think about it. where can you improve in this area in your company? Because your company is going to be your team. If you don't have a team behind you that you can trust, that are resourceful, these are all things that they can learn. These are all things that they can grow into. All right. It was a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm super excited for you. Would love to hear from you. Go ahead and DM me or friend request me on Facebook. I would love to hear how you're doing with your team, and let me know you got your SOPs built out, because it's so important for your team to have those. And I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.
Now, I hope you're excited, because I can't even tell you the amount of time freedom, mental freedom, just all the things I have now that I have our superstar team and our winning team. And the strategies she's taught you are going to help you get started building your own team as well. Thank you, Allyson, for doing that. If this was helpful, subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Also, thank you for being here. So until next time, get lit in your business and set your soul on fire. We'll see you soon.